All right, good afternoon or good morning, everybody. Thank you all for joining us today for our annual Visit Shawnee meeting. We are honored today to be joined by Secretary of Wildlife Parks and Tourism, Brad Loveless, to give us an update on what is happening around the state. First, before we jump into our programming, as you all know, none of this happens for the Chamber without the help of our many sponsors. And so I do want to just give a thank you to our Investor Guild sponsors for 2020 at our American Family Insurance, Advent Health, Bayer, which is now Elanco, Central Bank of the Midwest, the City of Shawnee, and Waste Management, and also the Amos Family Funeral Homes and Crematory, Complete Construction Service, Country Club Bank, Evergy, GBA, Overland Park Regional, Shawnee Mission Ford, and Zarda Rickey Development Corporation. Thank you all so much for your support and participation in Shawnee and your commitment to keeping the Shawnee Chamber active and out there helping our small businesses. If you could, next slide. Want to just update you on a few of the upcoming events for Shawnee Chamber. Our Governmental Affairs Division has been very active, and we have planned several upcoming virtual candidate events. You can see on your screen the schedule. They will all be done virtually, and so we invite you to mark some time up on your calendar and join from the comfort of your office or home office, back deck, and listen to the conversations between the candidates for these very important races. So all of that information can also be found on our website, and we appreciate Evergy sponsoring each one of these candidate forums. So look forward to seeing you all virtually on each of those. A few other upcoming events we want to point out before we jump in here is our SEDC Sporting Clay Tournament that will be held on October 29th at Powder Creek. We would invite you all to form a team and come out. It is really a fun day out there. You're outside. We will, of course, be practicing safe social distancing and following all of the requirements as laid out by the county and state. Masks will be required, but we are working very hard with our team and our friends there at Powder Creek to create a very fun event for everyone to get out, also while definitely keeping it all safe. For more information, just contact us here at the Chamber and we can get you that information. We also have our virtual trivia night coming up on November 6th. So for those of you that have joined us in the past, know that this is a really fun night and a really great casual way to connect with your coworkers, or perhaps it's your neighbors or family members this year. Invite them to your home, and you can participate virtually. We are kind of doing a 70s disco theme this year, so we think that'll be fun. You can costume, play some video music, or excuse me, play some disco music. And have a virtual party right there in your own home. So information will be forthcoming on that as well. And so we look forward to you participating this year in that as well. Next slide. And then finally, before we introduce Secretary Loveless, I wanted to invite Kevin Fern, our Executive Director of Visit Shawnee, to give an overview of tourism in Shawnee this year. As we all know, as we sit here in our offices and do this program virtually, that it's been a very challenging year for tourism. But with that said, I think that Kevin has some really great information and a very optimistic outlook on some of the things that are coming for Shawnee as far as tourism. So Kevin, I will invite you to go ahead and give you that update.
Thank you, Ann. And first of all, I want to welcome everyone who's joining us today. And start out by saying, when Ann said she wanted me to give an update on tourism in Shawnee, I think it's probably in Shawnee like it is pretty much either whether it be in the metropolitan area, regionally, statewide, or even nationally. And that is probably tourism isn't really great, but we need to be optimistic. And I'd like to share a story that, that comment that I heard many years ago, I think, from that eternal optimist, which was, other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, how was the play? And so with that said, I think that's kind of where we're at. We need to be optimistic, but the reality is our hotels and our hospitality industry is having very, very difficult times. The reality is that no one's traveling much. And we did have a couple upticks throughout the summer because we were able to come back with some of our tournaments. But basically, the reality is that the hotel business and the hospitality business have a long, long road back. We had a lot of great years and a lot of years where we had a lot of high occupancy and a lot of building of hotels, a whole different transformation of the industry here in Shawnee as well as everywhere. And this certainly transformed to that overnight. So I think the bad news is that every hotel is going to struggle, and they're going to struggle for a while. Travel patterns are going to change. I think that everyone agrees that what we're doing today is a good example. Doing this meeting virtually, that a lot of companies have learned that basically you can do things now that maybe before over the internet that we never did before. So you'll see conferences and conventions and that type of business probably not be as robust as it was at once. So for some of our surrounding communities, some of the larger communities are very dependent upon that market. I feel for them because they're going to have a very difficult time recovering. The good news is we don't have that much of that market. What our market is more based upon your general leisure travelers, but it's also a good combination of some good, strong businesses, but it's also a very, very strong sports market. And so with that, I think the one thing that we do know with all this going on around us is when this is all behind us and things start to return to normal, as whatever that new normal will be, sports will come back. People will still play ball. People still will have volleyball tournaments. We'll have some of those things that fill our hotel rooms a lot of the time. So is it the only thing that counts? No, it's a percentage of the business, but it's an important percentage. So as we go forward, and certainly prior to this, last November, when the County Parks and Recreation Board committed $45 million to the improvements of Mid-America, Mid-America West, and Open Field House, that was a huge accomplishment. Something that we had been working on here for over 10 years. And with that going forward, I think we have something that we can really be excited about for the future. The whole Valley of Champions idea out there between those facilities, along with the ice facility, the sand volleyball facility, and other things in there, Stump Park, the soccer tournaments we have that we host there is in the city park. That's a great future, and there's a lot of talk there, and Ann and I are working on a lot of great plans to develop that even further. And so therefore, as we look to the next few years, I think you'll see that develop greatly. I will make the point that I think that it's very, very important for us as a community to be committed, to be in partnership with Johnson County Parks and Recreation in that endeavor. They've committed $45 million to that facility. And with that, we need to step up and be a part of that. And we'll be talking about that as we go forward, but I think that's an extremely important part of us going forward with making sure that commitment over the next 5 years is met. That will be a game changer in Shawnee, and it will be a game changer for our hotels. So it's very important we make those investments as we go forward. And also tied in with that as we look to the future, just not with what we'll have in Shawnee, but with the new complex we have in Olathe that was recently opened, with the beautiful aquatic facility that was built and by the Shawnee Mission School District at Lenexa, just one exit south of us. The aquatic facility that truly is an Olympic style facility. If you haven't ever been there, I know it just opened in November, so a lot of people haven't seen it. I did see it, and it is an amazing facility that has the ability to host tournaments, and that will affect us as well. And then all the things that we're talking about in Western Wyandotte County that we've seen through the years. So with that, I think as we go forward, we need to be committed to kind of creating a coalition between Olathe and Lenexa, ourselves in Kansas City, Kansas, in building kind of a 435 sports corridor so that we work together and come and bring those kind of tournaments to our cities that obviously require a lot more rooms than just ours, that would require the rooms that those communities have as well. So that's an idea that we'll be working on as we go forward. But with all that said, I do think that as we go forward, Dustin, if you want to move a few slides, I want to say that here's a copy of a slide of our committee meeting last summer. And I do want to take this opportunity to thank the members of our advisory committee of Visit Shawnee. There's a listing of their names. They give a lot of time throughout the year to serve on this committee, and I want to thank them. I want to thank especially our chairman, Neil Sawyer, who this year stepped up for a third year when we had our incoming chair who just took over in January had to step aside because he took a different job. And Neil stepped up and was willing to serve a third year, which is not really traditional. We usually only serve 2 years in the capacity as chair. So I thank him for that. But I thank especially the council members, Jill Chaffee and Lindsay Constance, who serve on our committee, along with Mayor Dissler, and all the other volunteers who are listed there for all they do for us every year. A lot of events in past years that we've done a lot of balloons out with these people, but we haven't had any of those this year. We've missed them, and we look forward to getting back to them again next year. All that said, I think that as we go forward, what are the potential, as I've said, the sports market, as we build the Valley of Champions, as we look to the future, I think we need to keep a positive attitude. We had the potential for landing some national tournaments. I was always amazed when I go to sports conferences about the number of people who are looking, especially for softball, adult softball, for places to go. We were on the cusp of landing a couple of big tournaments that I think we will still be able to land, even though they'll be delayed. We were ready to host this summer of 2020 corporate games, which we obviously has now been delayed. But the good news is that we have moved that to 2021. And we're looking forward to everything getting back to normal next year and hosting corporate games here in Shawnee, along with some surrounding communities. That's huge. That's the national corporate games. I think it's 22 sports we'll have. Of those 22 sports, 12 of them would be held in Shawnee between Mid-America, Shawnee Mission Park. I think we're going to use park lanes for bowling and a variety of other facilities. So that's something big. That's something exciting. That's something going forward. I have a positive attitude. We have a great team. We have a great committee. We have a great community that frankly is easy to sell. So I'm looking forward as we look to the future to really coming back and building tourism for the future here in Shawnee. Thank you. And with that, we'll kind of wrap up. And it's my pleasure today to introduce to you a good friend of mine, Brad Loveless, who is our Secretary of the Kansas Department of Wildlife, Parks, and Tourism. I don't traditionally introduce people in the way that you do read a lot about him. I think Brad, I know, worked for Evergy for many years until Governor Kelly asked him a couple of years ago to join us in state service and serve us all in this department. It's a critical department to us and every day and everything that we do in tourism. And I've had the opportunity to get to know Brad over the last year and a half or so that he served. He is definitely a person who is committed to public service in a way that is commendable. And I appreciate all the time and effort he has and is dedicated to tourism. I will also mention that on the call today, just a shout out to her, Bridget Jobe, my good friend, who is now the State Director of Tourism for the state of Kansas, who Brad hired and who is our good friend and ally as she served many years in Kansas City, Kansas, the Director of Tourism there. So she knows our Shawnee community well. She's been to this luncheon, I think, every year that we've had it here in Shawnee. And we look forward to next year having her back and joining us as we're back in Shawnee. So with that, I'll turn it over to Brad to give his report. Thank you for joining us today, Brad.
Thank you very much, Kevin. I really appreciate your invitation to be with you today. I have especially appreciated getting to know Kevin over my last year and a half. I got to meet him right away when I was brand new, and he has been really a joy to get to know. My comments today will dovetail well with what Kevin said. We're all working closely together to try to get through this time that we're in, and so you'll hear some similarities. First off, I might say a few things about our agency. The mission of Kansas Department of Wildlife, Parks, and Tourism are to conserve and enhance Kansas' natural heritage, its wildlife, and its habitat, while striving to make Kansas a preeminent tourist destination and inspiring travel that drives economic development. So the last half of our mission really is in your laps. It's exactly what you folks are doing, and we are focused on that. And as Kevin said, we're lucky to have Bridget leading our tourism group. We have several different divisions in our agency, real quickly, administration, tourism, law enforcement, parks, fish, wildlife, public lands, education, and ecological services. So we're a pretty diverse agency that covers a lot of ground. They're wonderful people, and I've thoroughly enjoyed getting to know them in my year and a half. We amount to just under 500 permanent employees and another probably 300 temporary folks that we really rely on to make all our parks and public lands and reservoir services available to people. Tourism is an economic driver for Kansas. A robust and healthy tourism industry improves the quality of life for Kansans and provides economic prosperity for both the state and our local communities. This slide is from the 2018 Tourism Economics Kansas Tourism Impact Study. And so in 2018, our numbers were 35.6 million travelers came to Kansas. Those travelers spent $7.1 billion in our state and supported 5%. And that's a number I repeat often. In fact, I just reminded the governor of it just yesterday. 5% of all the jobs in Kansas are connected to the tourism industry, and that amounts to $638 million in state and local taxes. So a huge economic impact, and it's no wonder that we spend so much time on it and that you folks are focused on it. But of course, then 2020 happened. COVID hit, and it has changed the landscape for us here in Kansas, as Kevin mentioned. It's been a huge impact. Early on, I remember in the spring, we talked about over 80% reductions in revenue due to everybody just staying home. Now it's improved somewhat. Now at this point, state transient guest tax collections are down about 40% over last year's collections at this stage in the summer. So still an enormous impact, getting better. As Kevin mentioned, we have reasons for optimism, but we're still struggling. It's tough. Statewide hotel occupancy is down almost 30% compared to last year. So big impacts. Interestingly, you may have heard the statistics, but this will cause you to sit back in your chair. April was of this year, April 2020 was the worst month ever for U.S. hotels. So ever. So that gives you an idea of the huge impact this has had on our industry. And the tourism industry was one of the first, if not the first, industry affected by the pandemic. The first thing people did was they quit traveling. And so we were hit right out of the gate with these big financial impacts. The lodging industry has really never seen anything like this. And we certainly know of businesses, restaurants that will never reopen from this. They won't be able to recover. Attractions such as museums, water parks, all types of recreational venues have closed or laid off workers. Sports facilities, Kevin mentioned that, and that's really important, and you all have done great things there. But this has a major impact on our tourism numbers, and it just dried up. I know my granddaughter who lives in the Lee Summit, and the tournaments where I've seen in some of your venues there with license plates from 7 or 8 surrounding states, that's gone away this year. So an enormous impact. They're just playing local teams, and we lose out on all that revenue. Meeting and convention venues, events have been postponed or canceled, just like Kevin said. It's affected all of us. Entertainment, same way. Concert, plays, cultural, all these things and all the associated jobs with those activities have dried up and been lost. So a huge impact on so many people. We also know that when travel stops, there's a reduction in the quality of life for Kansans. We want to travel, we need to connect with people, and our state and communities need that for economic prosperity. So all of that has been impacted. But again, I'll reference back to Kevin's approach. The talking points on this for us as an agency is we've seen some positive things, right? Our state parks, for instance, we have a slide of Cheney State Park, you see right here, lot of vehicles there, a lot of campers. One of the ways that the state has reacted, and I will tell you, there are a number of states that shut down all their facilities back in March, and that lasted clear through June. I know the Federal Corps of Engineers shut down their facilities through June. Governor Kelly had the opposite response. When we sat down with her, when this was just rolling out, we said, we have something to offer for Kansans that can't do a lot of the things they normally do. We have venues where they can come out and can enjoy safely and productively, and we're ready for them if it's okay with you. And if you know Laura Kelly, you know her background's been in outdoor tourism and recreation. And so she didn't even hesitate. She said that's absolutely what we need to do to offer to, especially Kansans, to get out and recreate and be able to do some things, change of venue, change the scenery that's healthful and positive for our economy. So that local tourism did happen. We were really overwhelmed. I shouldn't say overwhelmed. We were full. Our state parks were at capacity most of the summer. The 2020 visitation numbers have already exceeded our numbers in 2019. Of course, that was a tough year because of flooding, but we're exceeding even previous years' highs. So we're breaking records. I know April and May, May and June were record-setting months for us in our state parks. Huge response. We'll beat our record number of visitors for our highest year prior to this year. And we've been full, and up through Labor Day, we remained full at most of our state parks. So while we'd love to have more space, it was terrific to be able to be plumb full all spring and summer long. Other areas that we've seen growth besides our state parks have been in fishing. You see this nice shot of this youngster catching a fish. This year we've had our highest number of fishing licenses sold since 2016, and that's not just an incremental increase. We're 35% higher than we were in 2016. So a real big jump over that previous big year, and that's encouraging to all of us that so many folks have come out. One of the interesting statistics I just read the other day was nationwide, 80% of Americans went out and recreated, either hiked or biked or fished or hunted so far during the pandemic. Okay, so over 80% use these outdoor recreational resources. And the real significant part of that is 30% of those users were first-time users. So people were saying, I don't know what I'm going to do. I think I'll go to a park. I think I'll get out that old fishing pole or go buy one. Our folks in our parks and public lands have told us they have never taught so many people to tie a hook on a line, to back up a camper or a boat that they bought for brand new for the first time. So there have been a lot of expenditures for these recreational gadgets and bigger than gadgets. And so that's been a boom, this summer. That's the way people have directed their time and their income. In terms of hunting, that's a big issue for us. We, as most of you know, we are a fee-funded agency. We don't get state general fund money. We are funded based on permits and camping licenses that we sell, and then use that to leverage federal tax money that's collected on fishing lures and a fishing pole and a gun or ammunition or a boat that you might buy. Taxes off of that are held in a fund, and we leverage that with the money that we collect locally when people buy licenses in Kansas. So the seasons you see coming up this fall, deer, muzzleloader, archery, regular rifle, after that, and then pheasant and quail, upland bird season, those are what we depend on. And we depend on non-residents coming in, spending a lot of money. That equates to over $14 million in revenue for us. And then, of course, that leverages that federal money. So this is our bread and butter. And we have been concerned all year that the COVID cases would increase in the fall, and that would cause us to as a state to say, boy, we're worried about non-residents coming in. I can tell you, the governor has taken steps early in the pandemic, which, the science shows us were really wise to try to keep a lid on this. I just visited with her yesterday, and I know her attitude is, we have got to work hard to be responsible and keep all these venues open so people who want to come to Kansas can. They can come safely, they can spend their money, no matter what it's for, and then can leave safely again. And so she's invested on trying to keep our doors open, and that's what we're focused on too as an agency as we look toward our fall seasons. And by the way, we're trying to get more user friendly, so all those are on apps that you can get on your iPhone and register that way to be legal to do all the things outdoors that you want to do. So let me talk a minute about the tourism division specifically. We have had a lot of reorganization. We brought on Bridget just over a little over a year ago. She's made some significant staff changes and revamped things. We've got a strategic plan that we're in the middle of right now developing, and we're excited about that. And that'll be our long range, defining our mission and then also our vision for where we're going to head. One of the things that tourism has focused on and renewed their focus on has been the youth sports market, as Kevin mentioned, very important to the Shawnee and Kansas City regions. As travel returns, you're going to see more focus being placed on this very valuable part of our travel and tourism industry. And most visible, earlier this year, hopefully you saw our To the Stars campaigns that you see on the slide. This is built around our state motto of ad astra per aspera, to the stars through difficulties. And this is really part of our culture as Kansans. It defines who we are. And certainly there's never been another year when To the Stars through difficulties has been more appropriate. If you look up our travelks.com website, you can find out a lot more about the campaign and how we're working with that. Importantly, I think this is critical. We have regional partnerships. Kevin mentioned how he and Bridget had worked together for years. We really seek out, you guys are high powered. You have a terrific resource in Kevin, but a lot of areas of the state don't have that. And when people come, they want to come to Shawnee, and then they want to come out to outlying areas and go to the cider market in Lewisburg and go south and maybe shoot a duck down at Meredazine. And so we try to connect all that and help people work closely together so we can collaborate and have this rising tide lift all ships. Excuse me. One of the focus for local communities is tourism marketing and development. And we try to support these local programs through educational opportunities, research and data sharing, attraction and development grants, and marketing grants. And we simply can't do this effectively without the partnerships and support of local communities like Shawnee. The next photo we've got shows a couple of us in Washington, D.C. spring a year ago. When I was brand new, we traveled through destination Capitol Hill to Washington, D.C. with a bunch of tourism leaders in Kansas. And obviously you see Kevin right in the front of that. I would tell you, I thought my role in attending this was going to be kind of a chaperone for our Kansas group to kind of protect them from the many hazards that you can encounter when you're in Washington, D.C. But it turned out when I got there, I realized that it was Washington, D.C. that wanted me to chaperone to protect them from Kevin and these folks who descended upon D.C. and were going to overwhelm it. So we had a great time. I learned so much from people like Kevin, and Bridget was on that tour also before she worked here. And I just listened and learned. There's a tremendous amount of expertise and commitment to tourism there, and I got to pick up on that during that time. Kevin has, as you all know, has been incredibly active across the state. Everybody knows him. He's passionate. He's experienced. He's very, very smart. And he represents Shawnee, all you folks there, extremely well across the state of Kansas. So That really concludes my remarks. I really do appreciate the invitation to be with you today. If anybody has questions, Kevin, I'm glad to try to answer them.
I do, looking here, and anybody have any questions, they're welcome to continue to submit them, but I'm not seeing much. Doesn't look like we have much, so no one has any questions, as that can be. I think we can move on, and we have a few more things to do.
Good.
We did decide that we
Brad,
wanted.
I have one question.
Oh, go ahead.
Did Kevin promise you a big prize or bonus for all of those kind words, and thinking that you might get a big raise this year? Or?
I'm kind of paying it forward.
I was trying to write them all down over here. I'm like, what is?
Kevin is very rude. You all know that. You hate to ever try to bargain with Kevin because you never come out on the long end of the stick. So he made no promises, but that's good enough for me. He's such a great. I see a question pop up. What was that one, Kevin?
It says, Brad, what is the newest state park? Jerusalem State Park. Can you tell us what it is?
Holy cow! Yeah, if you have an opportunity and are ever heading to the western part of the state, even if you aren't headed there, go there just to see a Little Jerusalem Badlands State Park. It's just south of Oakley, so it is a ways away. But we have had national but international interest in this park. It is a place, I don't have a slide to show you, but it is a place that does not look at all like Kansas. It's a geological formation that has weathered over time due to wind and rain. And it looks like the Badlands. And you walk right down in the middle of that and you see plants and animals that you don't see anywhere else in Kansas. It's a remarkable place. And in fact, in terms of human history, right on the edge of it, there's a place where, gosh, I can't, my geological history is failing me, but there's a place where there was a buffalo jump where they found a spear point, and these buffaloes that the Indians drove off this steep cliff and then went down and harvested down there. But it's incredibly old and is important in terms of national geological history and human history in Kansas. But it's a remarkable place, really otherworldly, and it's not hard to get to, and it's worth you seeing. It's really spectacular, and I encourage all of you to consider visiting Little Jerusalem.
And not a question, but I do want to make a special shout out to Brad and to Bridget, who's on the call. I know I've done this job now for 13, 14 years, but I was always very frustrated with the State Tourism Office through the years because I felt like there was a lot of emphasis on a lot of segments of tourism and that sports was never a part of that. And I fought for that a lot. And I will say with a lot of pride that in the last year and a half, there's been a new emphasis. And for the first time, I've seen the State Division of Tourism show a real interest in promoting sports tourism and seeing and understanding it's a huge part of business, and not just in a community like Shawnee, but in some of the smaller communities. I mean, you know, places like Garden City and Dodge City that have it, that you would think, you know, way west, and every small town, a lot of small towns have fairly large sporting tournament facilities. And so it's extremely important. And I just want to thank them and point out to the people on the call that they've done a great job in working with us, all of us local communities, in promoting sports tourism for the first time that I've ever seen it from a state perspective. And so we deeply appreciate that.
Thank you, Kevin.
Okay, that's my payback.
That was all? That was all? Okay, yeah, thanks again very much. Really appreciate
Okay.
it.
So Ann, I think we can, you know, I will say we're going to kick it back to Ann, but we are doing the awards. We always traditionally do these awards. We usually have the Mill Valley Jazz Band here to celebrate and have a real festive atmosphere. We'll be down usually at Town Hall, or I think we did it one year at Civic Center, or out at the pavilion at Shawnee Mission Park. But with that, I'll turn it over to Ann, and we're going to do our awards.
Absolutely. So yeah, as Kevin said, this year at our annual Visit Shawnee Lunch. We typically do 2 awards, and we really thought this year, absolutely, with tourism being so impacted and really so critical to what we're doing, we wanted to make sure that we took some time to recognize 2 wonderful Shawnee business people. So the first one that I have the opportunity to present, I'm very excited. It's always fun when you get to know somebody and how hard they're working. So just as a little bit of background, when this award, when we initiated this award 12 years ago, the idea was really to establish a way to recognize someone for outstanding service in tourism. And so today, our recipient really fits this criteria, especially in these new times that we find ourselves in, better than most. So he's someone that truly understands that we are all in this together. He is a 2nd-generation business owner in downtown Shawnee, a true original business that started in the house on Old Neiman Road. He started young, making salads and washing dishes. And when COVID struck his business, he was not of the attitude of every man for himself, but he promoted himself originally and continually using social media, but also all of the other businesses in Shawnee. And we felt like really lived that motto in we're all in this together. He continues to make investment in the downtown area and in his business. So today it is my honor to present the 2020 Good Start Here Award for Outstanding Service to Shawnee Tourism to Will Walker of Old Shawnee Pizza. Will, there is your award. Yay, Will. We will be by later today to drop off the award and maybe have a bite of that Nashville hot chicken pizza, as it is my favorite. So, Will, congrats. Thank you for all that you do for Shawnee, for downtown Shawnee and the entire community. I mean, people love you, your staff is amazing, and your pizza's the best. So thank you so much for everything that you have done and are continuing to do for the future of Shawnee. All right, Kevin.
Thank you, Ann. It is my pleasure and honor to be able to present an award that we started last year, which is the Shawnee Friendly Service Award. I think obviously us being in hospitality, and that's what we do every day, it's making visitors feel welcome to Shawnee. And that's what's first and foremost. Excited there to see our U.S. Congressman Sharice Davids making beer at Transport Brewery when I added that slide. Because that's what our business is all about, is service. It's making our guests feel welcome. It's making them think that Shawnee is special. And that's been a challenge, I'm sure, over the last few months as we face this pandemic. And when I reached out to our hospitality businesses to try to come up with somebody who was deserving this award, last year we started it at the 10th anniversary. So this will be just the 2nd year that we've done this award. And the person who was nominated and who we selected was able to adapt to the constant change brought on by COVID-19. Her boss says she worked tirelessly to help out guests to adjust to the changes made to our service due to the pandemic. And most importantly, she has a great empathy for guests. That is, this new normal she's made it as pleasant as could be for our guests. And I think those are the kind of things we want to hear. This is a whole new normal. And that's what we're dealing with. But we think it's important to thank our line level employees, our employees who are at the front line of dealing with guests. And so this is a special award, the Shawnee Friendly Service Award, the 2nd annual. It comes with what I think is important in that there's a $500 gift card, a Visa card that we will present to this recipient, because obviously these employees, that's a good way to say thank you for doing a great job. And it's my pleasure to be able to present this later, hopefully today, to Amber Yance from the Courtyard by Marriott. Amber's front desk clerk there, and congratulations, Amber. Kevin Bundy, the general manager, has had great things, and we appreciate your great ability to be a great desk clerk and get us through all this. So we thank you, Amber. And we will, Ann and I and the members of the executive committee later today or tomorrow are planning on presenting these in person to the individuals who won. And so we're looking forward to that opportunity. With that kind of is our main program as we conclude things today. There's a great picture or slide of our highlight from last year, the mayor with the opening of of the Fairfield Inn, our last hotel that opened in November. But we do have some gift cards and giveaways and a few things to give you all. So Justin has a great little wheel here that we're going to put up. It has all the names of everyone who's present. So those who are on here and who will win, we will announce. We can either have you do them. You can come by the office and pick it up today or tomorrow. Email me and let me know if it's somebody I know. I'll try to make arrangements with you. But we have basically 5 gifts to give away. And I think we're going to start with, let's start with a gift card to the Hereford House. And that's a $50 gift card to the Hereford House. And we will spin the wheel for the first giveaway. $50 gift card to Hereford House. And the winner is...
Kevin, you do a nice Pat Sajak.
Jim Neighbor.
Congrats, Jim. It's been a long time since we've lunched, Jim. Don't forget about me when you go there.
Yeah. So next up, we'll do a $50 gift card to Nick and Jake's. Nick and Jake's gift card, $50. Spin the wheel. Nolan Sunderman.
All right, Nolan.
I think Nolan bought me lunch at Nick and Jake's not too long ago, so that's...
Now you can buy me
And
lunch.
the third is a gift card to Paulo and Bill's, an old Shawnee favorite. $50 gift card. And the winner is Clarence Munch.
Congratulations, Clarence. You have
And
a
then-
beautiful patio this time of year too. It's perfect.
So we have 2 more. I don't know, you can see it on the screen, but we have a picture there of them. They're here in the office. The first thing, in honor of having Brad join us today, is we wanted to give away a To the Stars little basket there. As he indicated, the new theme, our new brand for the state is Kansas to the Stars. And so we have a couple t-shirts and a coffee mug and a hat there for the lucky recipient. So the To the Stars swag bag. Let's spin the wheel. And the winner is Stephen Powell.
Congratulations, Stephen. We will bring that over to you.
And certainly, last but not least, we have another little swag bag that I put together last night from our so excited to have in downtown Shawnee, my new favorite place to hang out in my neighborhood is McLean's. We have a couple t-shirts, some things for the kitchen there, and I think some banana bread and some cinnamon rolls. And that's a little bag there from McLean's, a little gift basket that we have. So let's spin the wheel. The winner is Faith. I can't see it because
Eisler,
okay, Faith Eisler. So
congratulations, Faith.
again, if you want to email me or Ann or whoever and let us know what you want us, how you like us either deliver them or come get them. My email is kevin.fern@visitshawneeks.com. Be happy to deliver them to you, or you can come by and get them. So let us know. And with that, I think we pretty much have concluded our program. We very much appreciate you joining us. This was a little different. When Ann said we're still going to do this year, I was a little hesitant. Not the most technical person, so I have that as a challenge, but I certainly, that picture was last Tourism Hospitality Appreciation Day at the Hampton Inn, where the mayor went and worked the desk and actually worked in housekeeping, and it was a great day. I was actually not here. I was at a sports conference in Tennessee that time, but I thought it was a little appropriate when I was going through the pictures to say we're checking out till now, till next year. we look very much to be back in person next year and to have this celebration of tourism in Shawnee together with you in a place where we can all celebrate and have a very festive day together. And we appreciate you all and all your support for tourism. And as the Secretary said, we'll just say, as to the stars, thank you.